Let me tell you guys, the most admired African women that we never talk about is the market woman. The African market woman. The African market woman has silently educated children and families and everybody in Africa, and we have never talked about them. Let us clap for the market woman in Africa. The market woman in Africa needs to be prayed upon. We need to praise them. They are the ones that suffer most from the politics of Africa. They are the ones that suffer most from all of the challenges that African leaders pose on them. But the market woman still stands strong and gives us Let me start my life upside down. I'm retired. You guys can retire now. Relax.
Thank you.
I am retired. I'm presenting to you from my mind because I've been a teacher for so long. When you teach for so long, you don't need a script. All you need is God. Amen. And I am a praying mother. Hallelujah. I raised 3 daughters. And my oldest daughter is a director for 3M. She is an attorney who needed my advice to get her mindset shifted from being an attorney in front of a judge to being an attorney in a corporate world. A corporate world with meaning. There's all kinds of corporate attorneys. But there are corporate attorneys that come with essence, where they can bring the corporation into the global sphere. And she works in 4 continents. And I don't know if Roberta is in here today. We'll get to Roberta. But she was like advocating for Renee to be here. I'm like, Renee is a mother now. She has babies to care for. And then my second daughter is a social worker for Ramsey County. She took after her mother's footsteps and she's doing some very good work there. She is a crisis intervention specialist. And my third daughter is a communication specialist for a company in Sacramento, California. My husband is born and raised in Nigeria, and we met in school in River Falls, Wisconsin. Now, I was telling the Reverend that my personal story started because I was very cued into colonialization. To me, it meant something deeper than the eyes could see. In Cameroon, we were bilingual. We had to speak English and French. The little French that I spoke was French that I learned in my classroom in the English Cameroons. But when it came to going to college, we all had to speak French. So my dad was very particular about education. He was an educator himself. And he really wanted us to do as they say in Cameroon. So my siblings went to the French Cameroons University, studied medicine, 2 of them, and they are doing fine. One of them ended up being a Frenchman in France. He's a neurosurgeon in France. So he really got into the French thing and got right into France. My other sister lives here in Delwood, and she's retired from being a specialist in site savers around the world. But I refused to do the French thing. I totally refused. I told my dad, I said, if the British colonized Cameroon, there are other countries that the British must have colonized that maybe, just maybe, I will do better in. And that was where my quest to go to Nigeria started. I knew that if I went to Nigeria, I would get educated in a good university. They had very good schools then. I had been to Nigeria as a child because my first brother was born blind. And the only school that they could find for him, a blind institute, was in Zaria, in Nigeria. And so my mother had me. I was about 7 months old, and she had to take me with when she took my brother to school. So the whole thing about Nigeria started making some sense to my folks. My brother ended up going to school in Akropong in Ghana when the Zaria school closed. So that's where he finished his education in Ghana. So Ghana is a very special place for our family, and I've been there twice. So I left Cameroon and I went to Nigeria with a friend who was born in Cameroon, and when the oil boom started in Nigeria, her parents decided to take the whole family back to Nigeria. But these kids were bonded with us. We played basketball together. We went to school together. So in the summertime, they would come back to Cameroon to visit. Coincidentally, I met one of my basketball teammates, in a friend's house. And she said, "Auntie, we need you in Nigeria. You come over. You will teach in the same school that I'm teaching. I will help you get the Board of Education to get you to the same school that I'm teaching." Today, she's the Auditor General of Nigeria. She and I taught in that school. My aunt, who was in Lagos at the time, was not comfortable that I was so far away from home because Imo State is really far. So they started negotiating for me to go back to Lagos. I went to Lagos, and I'm like, there's no way I can just settle so easily without pursuing my education. I must go back to school. We're sitting outside one day, and a young man from Abeokuta comes with a newspaper. And she goes, Auntie, they are opening a teachers training college in Ogun State. And they're looking for new applicants. She showed me the article in the paper, and I said, I'm going to apply to this. It's a brand new school. It is part of the University of Ibadan project that is coming to Ogun State. It was meant specifically for people of Ogun State. And here is this Cameroonian applying. Okay? So I apply, and the day for the interview, I took my exam, I took the interview, and the minister said, "Where did you come from?" I mean, talk about God. Talk about God. We talk about God, we praise God, but we must start feeling where God is working in us. He said to me, "You are the only deviated person in the program. I mean, you're the only foreigner, you're the only one that's not from Ogun State, you're the only one. What am I going to do with you?" He said, "Well, I cannot think this through myself, but I'm going to take you home for lunch, and my wife is going to tell me what to do with you." He took me home. At the lunch table, he told his wife my predicament, and his wife said, as long as it's a free program, and they're taking all the kids, take her. Put her in there. For 3 years, I got educated in the College of Education with my first certificate of teacher's license for free. I gave them 2 years of service. I taught at the college. I taught the high school kids producing plays, debate, speech and debate. Speech and debate was one of my best things for students who wanted to excel and open their minds and have fun. And then I decided it was time for me to come to school abroad. I had been to England. I did not like it very much for schooling. I wanted to come to the United States. I knew a few friends that would tell me everything about the United States. And I applied to Berkeley, California. Berkeley, California accepted me, sent me everything. And my cousin applied to Wisconsin River Falls for agriculture. My cousin's dad was the Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria at the time, and his dad said, "No, you won't go abroad. You will go to Zaria and go to University of Ahmadu Bello." Oh. And his admission letter and mine were sitting side by side on the table, and I happened to see that going to Wisconsin is 1/4 of the price of going to Berkeley. So I switched. I switched and I called River Falls and I said, this is who I am. I said, I'm ready to come to River Falls. I said, I will let you guys see whether you can get me admitted and I'll be there. That's how I ended up in River Falls. I came to River Falls. School had started like a week before I arrived. And it was just like, hit it hard, hit it squarely, you'll do well. They accepted all my credits from the Ogun State College of Education, which meant that I only had 1 year to finish my bachelor's degree. All of my credits were accepted. I did it. I had a 4.0. They gave me a full ride scholarship to my master's program. In 1983, March of 1983, Maya Angelou had just written the book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And she was going around the country and publicizing it, promoting it and selling it. And she happened to come to River Falls, Wisconsin. I was the only black student in the English department, the only black student from Africa at that. And my department chair felt that I would be a golden coin to be at that lunch table, that I would impress Maya so much that I was going to be such an impressive token for them to have lunch with Maya on their behalf. They sat me next to Maya Angelou, side by side. I didn't know who she was. I mean, I wasn't American enough to know that at that point. But Maya was so into me. She was like, as soon as you finish your degree, you can come to, she was at, I think it was, what Havens, I don't remember the college where she was teaching at the time. But she offered for me to go there. And I said, you know, I'm having this baby. My husband is here. I don't know how I would move the whole family. Anyway, that lunch for an hour, Maya talked to me about who she was. She told me who she was. She told me about her books. She told me about this book that she was coming to promote. And she told me that I have been to Africa and I've lived in Africa. She said to me, my eyes opened like a saucer, you know, like a like a glass saucer, like, what? You've been to Africa? She said, yes, I worked at Legon University in Ghana. I was like, what? She told me that her son had a car accident and that she did not know what to do. She was so depressed, she did not know what to do. And her Ghanaian sisters came to her and she said, you need to cry. You need to cry and cry that pain out of you. You cannot just sit there. You need to cry. You're hurting that your son is almost dying. So as she's telling me these things, I am seeing the African in her. I'm seeing the fact that she has taken some of our realisms and she's made it her own. Made it her own. So when I got accepted to do my doctorate at the University of Minnesota and got a teaching assignment, they gave me a 4-year teaching assignment right away from my admission, which means I went to school for free. Maybe that's why I never finished the degree. I went to school for free for 4 years, and then I got paid 75% of teaching graduate assistantship. And I started actually connecting what Maya and I have experienced for this 1 hour and what all of my African and African American studies has been that I am designing to teach. I got a teaching assignment at Metro, and I actually designed the class to be that of African and African American women's literature, and did Maya's works in the fullest in collaboration with the works of most African women that I had read. Talking about African women, let me tell you guys, the most admired African women that we never talk about is the market woman. The African market woman. The African market woman has silently educated children and families and everybody in Africa, and we have never talked about them. Let us clap for the market woman in Africa. The market woman in Africa needs to be preyed upon. We need to praise them. They are the ones that suffer most from the politics of Africa. They are the ones that suffer most from all of the challenges that African leaders pose on them. But the market woman still stands strong and gives us the best that Africa has to offer. Let us praise the market women and pray for them in our silent times. So my studies was on women. I would tell you that the men that took my classes, the first year was all Caucasian. They all came. I said, have you experienced a black business? They said, no. Have you ever gone to a black church? No. Have you gone to a black restaurant? No. I said, well, 50% of my class is site visit. A site visit that you go and you do, and you come back and you present to the class about your impression of that business. And it's got to be black. You see, the reason I tell you this is because everyday activities that we do, we don't have words for them. But then, if you philosophize on them, you have the best language for them. Today at Metro State, almost every faculty uses site visits for their classes. I was thinking about teaching, and I wasn't satisfied with what I was getting out of being a foreign student who had traveled over so many oceans and seas to come to America and teach for pennies. You were teaching by the courses, they were paying you by the courses, you did not have a salary because you were not a tenure track faculty, and to become a tenure track faculty, you had to teach at the university for so long and produce so much research and do all of that and do all of that. I said, my mother did not prepare me for that. Neither did God himself. So I decided that I was going to do other things. A friend of mine called me one day and said to me, you know, you belong in human services. Just talking to other people would make them find themselves. You've done so much work. You've crossed so many bridges. Just go into human services, you will meet so many people that would benefit from it. I want to tell you, for the first year that I worked at Ramsey County, I must have signed the most letters of support for black women at Ramsey County applying for advanced degrees at the University of Minnesota. Once they knew that I was on in Ramsey County and they knew my background, they would come to my office and I would sign it for them and I would write it for them and I would make recommendations for them, and they would go and finish their degrees and come back and thank me. I helped, from my perspective of faculty in advising students, I helped advise them in how to kind of walk those roads and walk those trails. We know that our society has the most people in nursing. This is what I do to my nursing people. Tell my nursing people that the money that they pay you is all you got. When you retire, that's the money they want you to live on. If you don't use your money for your 401k while you're doing nursing, it will meet you by surprise that they don't have anything else to give you after your nursing career is done. So if you know any nurses in the community, tell them that they must have a 401k. They must have it. They cannot take the money that they pay them, I don't care how many shifts they work, and take it all home. It is a dead trap. It's a death trap to carry all that money home, because the more you use it, the less you have when you get to my age. So that's the advice for people that are working in jobs that don't have a pension plan. For those of us that worked for the government, we worked because of the pension plan. But people that don't work in the government don't have that kind of benefit. And you need to teach them that they need to have that kind of benefit. Learning is a lifelong journey. For my graduates, learning is a lifelong journey. You have accomplished a great thing. You have gotten your degree. You've gotten that paper with you. You need to talk to people. You need to ask questions. You need to collaborate. You need to network. You need to make friends with other people that you admire. From the kindergartners to the college graduates to the postgraduates, thank God for your lives. Blessings upon you. But don't stop there. You are the ones for which the whole theme of today, the mindset shift, is designed for. It is designed for you. How do you begin to do it? In your course of going to school, you either met a faculty person that you admired, or whose course you liked, or some kind of a project that you did that you really enjoyed, or some kind of a friend who did a project that wasn't your project, but their project was something that you liked. You can use all of those resources to restructure or redesign something for your own purpose. You're in the best church. I can tell you, I go to You've got leaders in this church that you should not shy away from. You should go closer to them and ask them questions. You should talk to them. You should open your mind up, and nobody should tell you that black is not beautiful. We are beautiful. We are. We are not only beautiful because of the way we look and because our skin doesn't crack even if when we're 70, okay? We are beautiful because we are authentic. If you work in any organization, all black people greet each other when they see each other. Whether they raise their eyebrows, or they wave, or they smile, we all greet each other when we see each other. That is the God in us. God resides in us. And then I ran into Rubeda. I was the only African woman for a very long time at Ramsey County. How I got there was through volunteering. An Ethiopian young man called me one time and said, Ramsey County is looking for someone to chair an organization that will help them understand how to work with Africans. You know, we Africans are so resilient, we don't even know how to beg. Even when we need it. We don't. Somebody has got to tell us that, go beg, go tell that one to give you something. Please, go tell that one to give you something. Please, it's your right, you pay taxes. Please, it's your right. I know Africans who have refused to take Social Security, they don't understand that it's their own money. So we got to talk. We have to continue to talk. That's right. We must talk. We must talk. We cannot sell ourselves short. That's right. So Miss Roberta comes and gets a job like a few doors down from mine. And her supervisor tells her that there's an African woman here. And I tell you, you know when the sun hits you directly in the face, and you are like, dang, that's the sun shining bright in winter. Miss Roberta showed up in my office and she goes, "Hi, Miss Ida." I'm like, she tells me about herself, and I found out she's from Ghana. And I started calling her Ghana girl. I don't know that she knew where I was at the time when I'm calling her Ghana girl. But we hit it so well that she invited me to her production of Conversations in a studio. And the conversation went to the whole thing about the life of an immigrant, our immigrant lives. And after that recording, she shared it with so many people. I was like, oh my, if you know how private I was. She shared it with so many people that she kept saying, "We got to do this again, we got to do this again." I'm like, "Roberta, the only do you're going to do is take me to a Ghanaian party. I want to go eat your food." So Roberta is a great addition for Ramsey County, not only because of her personality, but because some of the work that we need to do as immigrants and black people has got to be done by us. Has got to be done by us. We cannot let people do our work for us. They will not only do it the wrong way, we will never get our representation that we need at the table. So I really give Roberta so much kudos for forging constantly forging her way to the front of the line in what message we have to give about the community. And so I'm standing right here today in front of you and doing this because Roberta took me to a party. And I met Reverend King and I was like, oh my God. And we started talking already about, I'm going to come to church and I'm going to be here with you guys and I am here to stay. What a friend we have in Jesus. What a friend we have in Jesus. You have a good friend. You have gotten yourself a very good friend. Talking a little bit about my 33 years in Westminster Presbyterian Church. I've done everything. I've been a deacon. I've been in committees. I'm in the global mission. I've traveled to Cuba. We have a partnership with them that goes to Cameroon. And I have been, we have St. David's. St. David's is a children's program that deals with autistic children. So they're housed at my church downtown. And I was part of the church team that partnered with St. David's team to make sure that the collaboration was working well together. Sometimes when you do collaborations, you have to make sure that you have the people at church that understand some of the limits that the church can go to and some of the limits that the organization that is there can do. I've done several fundraisings for them, worked on committees that have raised major funding for them in building up the church. I was born and raised Presbyterian. My grandfather on my father's side joined the Bible mission from Switzerland in the 1950s, and my dad followed in his footsteps and helped plant 14 churches in Cameroon. So I'm Presbyterian inside out. But the music that you guys play here, it's so jarring and waking up of the sleeping Presbyterian. I mean, it's like... You sure did wake me up. I am so blessed to be in your midst. I am so very blessed to be in your midst. I ended up in Ramsey County taking a leadership position 8 years ago. My different areas of work in Ramsey County spanned from, I first got in there in adult protection and vulnerable adult investigations. I did investigations. Now, let me tell you something. When you study English as a degree, you can do anything. You can be a journalist, you can be an investigator, because you can write. You can tell the story. You can really tell the story. So telling the story gave me some positions in Ramsey County that were very pertinent to my career. I was there for 9 years. I did all those investigations. It was a much more engaging with the court systems, so I was in court a lot. And then I left that area and I went to do foster care. So let me tell you about foster care. Foster caring, open your hearts to it in this church. We have children who have never eaten a square meal in America. And these children end up in foster care, and because of the fact that in America everybody's black, they put our children, even our African children, in homes that do not understand a thing about them. So I would charge your church to have some kind of a think tank on what would that look like if people at church wanted to open their hearts and their minds to foster children who were of African origin. The Native Americans have managed to tell us that taking away a Native American child from the Native American cohort into any other groups of people is like taking a puppy from the mommy and the mommy refusing to take the puppy back. It's that it loses that connection. So for the Native American, once a child is taken away from the Native American community and culture, it's like somebody has sprayed them with a spray paint and changed them. So they don't want that child to come back in. So we need to do that kind of a thing where we actually have that kind of a network where we can solidify the fact that children should not be removed far away from our own central cultural norms. They should stay within our cultural norms. It will save their lives. It will save their lives. It will make us such celebrants of our children over generations. Some of us are here to stay. Some of us are here to stay. There's the story of this guy that stayed in America for 40 years, built a mansion, went back home at the age of 70 and could not climb stairs. So what happened? He remained on the first floor of this mansion, and the caregiver that was caring for his property ended up in the master bedroom upstairs. So when you start getting to 60s and 70s, be mindful of what, if you're going to go build at home, go back and look at the plans for thatch houses that had just the one floor and build them to suit your physique of who you are at the time. Don't do the kind of thing that you think that you're going to show off to people and end up living such a miserable life. My final assignment for Ramsey County was leadership in licensing. I was in charge of licensing 470 homes in all of Ramsey County for daycare. Daycare is the most risky business. Children can die in daycare. It was risky. My cousin would call me every morning and say, "Sister, I'm praying for you." I said, "I prayed before I came." I said, "God is right in here with me. I prayed so hard before I came." I held that position for 8 years, and I want to say to you guys that there is no job in human services that is not tied all the way to Washington, D.C. Every single job in human service begins with your desk and is connected all the way to the President of the United States. So when you see somebody that works in human services, they don't carry a light load. They are very careful. They understand how the systems work. And it is so important to understand how systems work. Because if you don't understand how systems work, you could get yourself into a big whole bunch of mess. As we raise our children, as we raise you, and we praise you, and we celebrate you, we live in a country of laws and rules. We live in a country where you by yourself can do yourself good, and you by yourself can do yourself all the bad. This church, this very place that I'm standing, is your rescue. When nothing goes right, come back here. When nothing works, come here. When you need to cry, come here. When you need to laugh, come here. The church should go through you, and you should go through the church. The church is a powerful tool to keep you sane in America. I used to do my staff meetings with white folks in my department, and I would say to them, the person who is leading you is a whole human being. Come in this room with all that you got to offer. Bring your whole self. Don't keep the church behind because, people don't know about my church, we are all blacks. No, you bring it with you in all the spaces that you find yourself. Bring it with you. That is your protection blanket. If you go to daycare, you see small children holding teddy bears and they hold little blankets. They're dragging it and bringing it along for their safety and comfort. They are missing home. Your church is your safety blanket. Your church is your safety blanket. Things have happened. Many things have happened. But we hold strong, powerfully strong, unto the Almighty. Can we say hallelujah to that? Hallelujah to that. Now, I can talk to you all day, but what I want to hear from you is there anything that anybody wants me to talk about? Or that you are feeling that you want to hear from me today? Anything? Okay. If there's nothing, let's talk about mindset shift. How many more minutes do I have? 5? Okay. Mindset shift. Mindset shifts. Let us start with parents. Now, in Africa, parenting is easy. Call your neighbor, I'm going to the market to watch the kids. Okay. Parenting is easy. Now, the only thing I want us to understand as parents in America is that we both have to be on the same page when it comes to parenting. That's all I want us to understand. Let us figure out the challenges, the easy part, and the not so easy part, and be on the same page about how we're going to do it. Let's be on the same page. If you be on the same page, you're not creating mental challenges for your children. If you're not on the same page, you are destroying the next generation. The next generation is going to feed off of that craziness, and the next thing you're going to see is that you are forced to call somebody to come and save them. But you failed to save them when you had to save them by saving yourself and your spouse. I did advocacy for domestic violence. It was a fling. I didn't do it for too long. But it was a sad time for me to know that human beings are capable of some of the things that they can do. Human beings forget. They forget the presence of other people when they are angry. They forget the presence of their young children. They forget the presence of their aged parents. They forget the presence of their friends when they are mad and upset. Do something for that. Get yourself a mindset shift. Actually plan how you will deal with your upset moments. Tell yourself that I understand and I realize that I get upset real bad. My upset moments I will spend in my room. My upset moments I will spend outside. My upset moments I will spend on the phone with my pastor. My upset moments I will spend volunteering at church. Get yourself a mind shift of how you would do that. Alcoholism. Some of us drink like fishes. I mean, fishes don't even drink no more. The waters are drying up. Fishes don't even drink no more. They refuse to drink. Waters are all drying up all over the world. They say climate change. Drinking will set you back 10 years from where you are today. 10. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 10 years. Because you will spend money that you don't have doing that. You will miss activities that your children need you to be there. You would miss the moment of bonding and the moment of celebrations and the moment you would let children walk alone like they never had parents because you're too tired after drinking yourself away to wake up and go and support them. Make a mind shift. Give yourself the permission to not do that. You can drink socially, but let it not affect the essential things that you have to do with your family. Let it not affect that. It will put you so many years behind because when you need to catch up with the children, they will not be there. They will not be there. You would have lost a whole generation. When my friend called me and said, you will serve well in human services, I've brought human services to church today, and I hope that we all feel blessed that I stopped in here to celebrate the graduates. May you be blessed. May you see better days. May you reap what you have sown. I praise you for your hard work. I continue to praise you for your enlightenment. Learning is a lifetime journey. And keep it up. You've got the support of this church. And praise the Lord for that. Amen.